Call the meeting to order. They make the announcement that the filing of the meeting notice and posting of the agenda was done in accordance with the Open Meeting Act. Call to order and record members present and absent, please.
Chairman Ray, District 3.
Here.
Vice Chair Stuckey, District 4.
Present.
Secretary Conway, District 2.
Here.
Commissioner Amos, District 5.
Here.
Commissioner Harris at large.
Here.
Commissioner Hunter at large.
Here.
Commissioner Potter, District 5.
Okay, you have the minutes before you. If you'd take a minute to look at those, and I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second? Call the roll, please. He made the motion. They both made the motion, but
Vice Chair Stuckey.
Aye.
Secretary Conway.
Aye.
Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Amos.
Aye.
Commissioner Potter. Commissioner Hunter. Chairman Ray.
aye. Okay, moving on to the Aerospace and Aviation Education Grants. Sandra.
Morning, Commissioners. Commissioners, previously this week I sent you an email with three remaining grant applicants. We're going to go through those just briefly. I know that you have reviewed those previously to the commission meeting. This is Batiste Public Schools, and their program is Up, and Away, a study of force in motion. And they are in southeastern Oklahoma, and we are going to be suggesting a grant of $2,500. The amount of their request was $32.43. As I scroll through this PowerPoint, you guys can see some information. We will be supporting rocket engines, model airplanes, rockets, quadcopters, and they are going on an airport tour, which we are not funding. If you have any questions about Batiste Schools, please let me know. Okay, going on to Speed Fest. This is OSU Speed Fest. They are a first-time applicant, if you can believe that, and they've been doing this several years. To date, they've reached over 4,500 spectators, 500 students, and 150 college faculty and teachers. Their request was for $12,500. Staff is recommending $10,000. And we are supporting 2/3 of the Alpha Class team, which will be for jets. If you have any questions regarding that. And our last item is the Tulsa Regional STEM Alliance. And we have supported this group for many years now, and they requested $20,000. Staff's recommendation is for $5,500. And this year's program is called Sky Full of Kites, and the number of students involved is 6,200. Staff recommends that all three of these programs be approved for grants.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve all three.
it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve all three. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Stuckey.
Aye.
Secretary Conway.
Aye.
Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Amos.
Aye.
Commissioner Potter.
Aye.
Commissioner Hunter. Chairman Ray.
Aye. Thank you. Director's report, Vic?
Good morning, Commissioners. First item under my report is the dedication of the Boeing Laboratory. There was a ceremony to commemorate that on July 15th, attended by the governor and many others, dignitaries from Boeing. Their site head, Mike Emmelhines, was there. And it's going to support 800 jobs. And I think it'll be the place where ideas to sustain the B-52, the KC-135, the C-17, the AWACS, those will come to reality. So it's an exciting new proposition adventure in the aerospace industry in Oklahoma. And I think the thing I was most very proud of is very prominently mentioned by the governor were the engineer tax credits for aerospace. Which is, I'm sure all of you will recall, that was championed by the Aeronautics Commission. Took us 2 years to get it passed, but we got those passed in 2008. And Boeing will be the first one to tell you that right there with the Quality Jobs Act, is the engineer tax credits for aerospace, which is, we know, the engineer gets as well as the aerospace employer. The second item is the state of the Air Force Sustainment Center, which we're fortunate to have here in Oklahoma City at Tinker Air Force Base. That was a luncheon sponsored by the Oklahoma City Chamber. That occurred in late July, and General Levy, the commander of the Air Force Sustainment Center, gave that brief. And it, you know, all the things we do know. It's the largest single-site employer. One thing that General Levy said, it has about a $3 to $4 billion economic impact. It outsources $5 to $6 billion. That's why we have the CATSKI program. But the thing that really caught me in his remarks, the fact that he said he could have hired all the engineers at OU and OSU that graduated last year, and he still would have been short. He still would have needed engineers. So reference back to our engineer tax credits to help the industry with that. Third item is the USA Unmanned Systems Alliance Oklahoma annual meeting. This is the chapter of the AUVSI National Association that champions unmanned systems here in unmanned aircraft systems here in Oklahoma. That was a very good event. You'll see some pictures that are being displayed now. It was on Monday night before the summit on Tuesday. There we have Senator Simpson and Speaker-elect Charles McCall and Representative Jeff Cootie. Senator Simpson and Representative Cootie being the chairs, the respective chairs of our newly formed Legislative Aviation Caucus. They were in attendance, really appreciated them coming. Yes, I did give an address. It was hard. I think that I may almost be recovered from being a lawyer. I've told you all it's a 24-step process, but on that panel was some real experts in First and Fourth Amendment, and I think it finally hit me that I'm not a lawyer anymore. So I must be getting close to getting there. But it was an excellent event, well attended at the OU Science Museum down there, at Natural History Museum, and we sponsored the dinner that was the night before. The fourth item, a great day last week. I represented the state, made remarks on behalf of the governor at the open house at Stillwater Regional Airport to commemorate the beginning of commercial service. The first plane that actually came in, there's 2 inbound and 2 outbound today. Embraer C-145, so 50 seaters. That's a remarkable thing. Just something I want to share with you all. In the last 18 months in the United States, 38 states, we're still waiting on results from the other 12 states, but the FAA helped us do this. 2 communities got commercial service. Stillwater, America, and Vero Beach, Florida. At Stillwater, service 7 days a week. 2 flights in, 2 flights out. At Vero Beach, service is only 3 days a week. So just it kind of puts an exclamation point, but that's out of 38 states, and I dare to say, and we'll have those soon as we surveyed this through the FAA, probably the other 12 states, I'll be surprised if we find 1 community. It's very hard to get commercial service started. So it was a great day. The flights went off and have gone off so far with no problem. Stillwater's really backing that. They have private entities have stepped up to guarantee for 2 years what needs to be guaranteed so that American Eagle would come there. And hopefully after 2 years, we'll have a good market. The last, no, not the last, but the final approval has been given on the, this was done before your July meeting, but since July is dedicated to aviation and aerospace education, we didn't talk about this, but we amended our rules dealing with airport grants. Most of it was cleanup. However, there was one significant amendment. I think, as you know, under our rules, this is with respect to FAA grants. The apportionment, our basic allotment from the FAA, we will help a community with 50% of their required local match, which is 10%. 10% of whatever the number is, we're going to do 5%. We'll also do that on discretionary funds because that's usually for a big rock project and it's going with apportionment money. We do not do that as a matter of course, the general rule on non-primary entitlement, the $150,000 a year that goes to classified NIPIAS federal system airports. However, this rule allows us to do that in the event the state would save money. So the critical threshold is we must show that we would have had to use X amount of state dollars to either finish this project or make this right. But if we can transfer in, which we have the sponsor has the authority to do that, and most of the times we engineer and coordinate that. If we transfer in dollars, NPE dollars from another airport sponsor to the receiving airport sponsor, we can help with the required local match, provided the state will save money. So that's now in our rules. That's I think that's the only item behind the tab director's report. So if you have any questions about that, you can certainly talk to me or Dale or Grayson about that, the most significant change in those amendments. A realignment of duties with respect to the airport's development division. I sent you all an email regarding this. Dale will remain and retain the title of deputy director, but he will be focused on engineering, construction management, grant administration. Grayson will concentrate on all the planning aspects, developing the NIPIAS needs, developing the CIP. Also under him will be like 5010 inspections, administering APA, which of course he's done since he first got to the commission, and administering the Met Tower marking requirements. Any questions? Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay. Let's move on to number 6. Vic, I think you're up again. Oklahoma Municipal League.
The CADSCU, just very brief, Tinker and the Primes is a sweet spot for CADSCU because the purpose of CADSCU, I just mentioned a moment ago, Tinker Air Force Base outsources $5 to $6 billion a year. That's a big number. Unfortunately, not very much of that stays in the state of Oklahoma, probably about 10% if we're really lucky. CADSCU was created by the legislature 10 years ago to help in that regard and to help companies that wanted to do business with the Boeings of the world and the Northrop as well. And it's never been adequately funded, as we all know. It started out an OCAST. It was moved to the Aeronautics Commission. But with the funding that we've been able to put and invest in the CADSCU program, just as of this month, the month of July, 81 more contracts were received by companies here in Oklahoma. Small contracts totaling $223,000, but cumulatively, since its formation, we have been a significant assistance in helping companies win 757 contracts. 42 companies win 757 contracts, totaling just over $62 million. And using the DoD, Defense Logistics Agency formula, how many jobs has that retained or created? That amounts to 1,241 jobs. So that's the rundown on CADSCU. We were at Tinker and the Primes. That happened last week. It was probably the best Tinker and the Primes that has ever been. I think it was probably, there was more attendees than previously. The agenda was good. The speakers were right. They got the people that were over the programs for the Air Force to come in. The substance was very good. Unfortunately, we did not have a place this year and neither did the state insofar as explaining the incentives offered to the aerospace industry, and we didn't have a place to talk about CADSCU. We need to remedy that, and that'll be my focus, and hopefully we will get that done before next year's event. Any questions?
That was number 8, so let's go back to 6 and 7.
Okay. I was skipping those approval items.
Oh, we're speeding up.
On
the
my
meeting.
notes, I had CADSCU next. Sorry, Commissioners. The Municipal League Conference, which I think all of you know, this is our best ally when bad things have happened to us, like $3 million being taken in 2014. The Municipal League, because we're in a sense the trustee for the airport sponsors represented by the Municipal League. And they have been our great ally from 2010 forward. So I would ask for your approval. We participated in it every year in their annual meeting.
Do we really need to approve $250 expenditure?
We do for all other things. There's nothing that gives me relief in the statute to not have, insofar as a quantity. So all other events like this, I seek your approval, so.
You're not a lawyer anymore, though, so why are you worrying about this?
But I can still read. I can still read. Although I don't read my wife's notes, so she might. So I need your approval on this, Commissioners.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second's been moved and second. Call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Stuckey,
Aye.
Secretary Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Amos.
Aye.
Of course, we will have an exhibit booth, Commissioners, and if any of you would like to go to anything, please get in touch with Sandra on the Municipal League Conference. With respect to NBAA, we've been doing it the last several years, and we've gone forever and a day. But we have a state booth at NBAA, and so this is for the purpose of partnering with Commerce and several other partners at the National Business Aviation Association Annual Convention and Trade Show.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the
Move to
partnership?
approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Stuckey,
Aye.
Secretary Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Amos.
Aye. You spend 5 minutes on 250 and 2 seconds on 2,000.
Well, you're more familiar with the 2000.
I'm confused. Number 9, financial report. Jane?
Good morning, Commissioners and Chairman. In your packet behind tab 9 is the information, and we're starting over the new year, so because we're having this meeting so early, I don't have August numbers for you. I just have July 31st. We had an ending cash balance of $4,900,000 with approximately $3.8 million encumbered. Our FY17 budget was submitted in a timely manner. The only problem was the state was having some issues with the software. So we didn't get approval and the funds released until August 9th. So as a result, we weren't able to create the new POs and, to encumber the funds. So that's why you see such a large difference in the numbers, is because we couldn't encumber. You'll see a whole lot different numbers next time. Our statutory revenues deposited in July totaled $319,162 compared to $459,206 last year. The year-to-date expenditures for basically July were $394,964. And I guess that's pretty much it, unless you have any questions for me. Our graphs don't look as pretty now because the line is right at the front. It's because of the first of the year, but do you have any questions?
Okay, any questions? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Legislative, congressional, and regulatory update. Sandra and Vic. Don't rush up here.
Okay, thanks for keeping me on track, Mr. Chairman. As it is, we've talked about this several times. We're getting close to getting to deadlines, which are in December for bill presentation. We've talked to several legislators about possibly being authors, but as we do, we bring the legislative agenda to the commission for approval. And so we're going to tag team you a little bit. I'm going to take an item or two, and then Sandra's going to take several as well. We've talked about an interim study previously, and our request for an interim study from unmanned aerial systems in view of Part 107 has been granted through Senator Simpson, asking that of Pro Tem Senator Brian Bingman. What this will look at, it's not trying to aggressively, although there's probably more than half the states now have imposed regulations on unmanned aircraft systems, and 41 have considered regulations, additional legislation on unmanned aircraft systems. This will look at laws such as criminal trespass, voyeurism, nuisance. Are those broad enough to address that harm being committed with a drone? That's the specific purpose of this. Also, though, there's been a raging for like 5 or 6 years. There's been a pretty good debate at the Capitol, and we've been able to prevent any draconian legislation being passed with respect to privacy, and really hampering the progress of this sector of the aerospace industry, and we've been a part of that. because those have not been good bills. They were kind of knee-jerk reaction to privacy. There are things that can happen with manned aircraft. Most of the time, you do not need a warrant with a manned aircraft right now because they're in the public airspace. If they see something, that's legitimate. That's fair game. So we have been able to beat back legislation like that. We will look at, because privacy is a big concern in the state of Oklahoma, as it is everywhere really. This is a whole new deal, that these things can be over your backyard and hover for hours. We'll look at, and this gets very intricate with the law, Supreme Court case law, about how much airspace does the landowner own. There are some, and we'll definitely look into this, advocating below 200 feet, that should be prohibited over a landowner's property, over someone's property below 200 feet. That's being kind of talked about nationally. Some of you might be familiar with the fact that Amazon has actually proposed, well, here's how we'd like to see this regulated, at least for our drones. So it's going to be a very interesting, it'll be a one day of testimony, but then a lot of research in this issue. So the day is September the 28th. I don't think we have the exact time yet. Probably 10 a.m. over at the Capitol. So we'll make sure you have that information should you care to attend and hear the testimony that day. That's an information only. Are there any questions about the interim study? Okay. Sandra is your next part.
Commissioners, good morning again. When I first came to the Aeronautics Commission, I knew nothing about aviation and aerospace. And in my interview, I told Director Byrd that I wanted the Aeronautics Commission to matter. And what I meant by that was that with 20 years in the legislature, working for both political parties, I had not had much interaction with the Aeronautics Commission over 20 years in the Capitol building. And I think it's really important for us to look at things. So our legislative agenda is going to be aggressive, it's going to be difficult, but it's going to be worth it if we can get it right. So the first thing that I want to bring to you is, turn my page here. We'd like to do some resolutions. First of all, our first resolution is we're going to do a resolution stating that UAS is in fact an aircraft. Why is that important? Because we need it for our industry. We need for the UAS industry. Our governor is very in tune to this, and she really wants UAS to be part of a driving force in the aerospace community here in Oklahoma. So we're going to draft a resolution and pursue that. We also are going to do a resolution declaring August 19th Oklahoma Aviation Day. In all my research, there has never been a resolution declaring an aviation day in all of Oklahoma. And with our rich history and aviation history, I think it's important that we have that. And that also coincides with National Aviation Day. Does anybody have any questions about those resolutions?
I have one question, Sandra, on
Sure.
the resolution about Oklahoma Aviation Day. Are we still going to have the Capitol Day for aviation over there?
Thank you for the question. One of the problems is that the rotunda is being walled off due to the construction of the Capitol. And so we're going to figure out something. We're going to have something, if we can get our friends at the History Center to help us find a venue, we are definitely going to have something. But and Senator Dom is with us, and he may be able to speak to that.
Well, my point of the question was, if you were going to have this day at the Capitol, why wouldn't you make that National Aviation Day versus some other day in August when the legislature is not in session? That was my only point.
I understand the question. We also looked at November 22nd, which is Wiley Post's birthday. One of the things, we were suggesting this because it is National Aviation Day, and it being during the interim in future years, the Aeronautics Commission could foster different programs on that day, or events, because it's not during the legislative session, and we could get legislators out to there.
Commissioner, that's an excellent point, and as I know most of you know, I think all of you know, that we've several times in the past, we've had proclamations from the governor's office, Governor Fallon, Governor Henry, Governor Keating, proclaiming appreciation, if you will, for aviation and aerospace in Oklahoma. So I think that's provided we're able to do something, Commissioner Harris, I think we'll do something like that. And we may do a resolution just commemorating that and how important aviation and aerospace is in Oklahoma.
Is there any other questions regarding those resolutions?
Ma'am?
Okay, the next one is the Aeronautics Commission license plate. And I know that you might be thinking that that's all we need is one more license plate. If you'll look behind your tab, I have printed for you all of the license plates in Oklahoma. Just a lot of paper. And as you can see here, these are all listed out for you. The Aeronautics Commission license plate is really important to me and to our commission, because I think this will bring not only awareness to the aerospace industry in Oklahoma, but also will bring much-needed revenue to aviation education and to those grant programs, stemming education at the younger ages regarding aeronautics. And we have previously talked about this, Commissioner. If you have any questions regarding this, I'd be happy to visit with you about that or answer any questions. But staff is seeking your approval to pursue these first 3 agenda items for the 2017 legislation. And then I think Director Byrd has 2 more.
Okay.
We've got 2 more on the action part, actually 1. I'm going to call on, we're going to do a kind of a triple option on you, actually. I'm going to call on Mr. Arties to talk about the APA cleanup language, since that is his expertise and specialty, and he's assisted capably by Ms. Tabor. So I've already talked to you about what the purpose of the interim study is. I've given you the parameters, what we're looking at. We are definitely not looking at trying to do something that frustrates or hinders the industry. However, I mentioned Google and Amazon a moment ago. I don't think, too, we can just, Google and Amazon would like to self-regulate entirely. And a lot of the comments that have been given about Part 107 so far is they've pretty much defaulted on several issues to the states and local government. Something else I'm trying to do, I think I've mentioned to a couple of you, but you take example, an issue of like sales tax on internet sales. Sales tax on internet sales. Those retailers have to deal with over 10,000 jurisdictions with respect to that issue. I want to make our friends, I mentioned a moment ago, the municipalities, who are very good friends of ours, but several municipalities have already enacted regulation as well with respect to UAS. So I'd like to make them a part of this and hopefully we will come up with something very responsible, and it will be something that is not onerous or unduly burdensome on this burgeoning industry. Then the APA cleanup language. And if you have any questions, Commissioners, there's going to be time for that, because hopefully there'll be a motion and a second and discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. On the APA cleanup language, as you all know, APA was passed in 2010. We've had 5+ years of administering that law to protect structures incompatible and tall structures that come up near airports, public use airports, and our military bases across the state. In administering this for the past 5 years, there's some small tweaks that we'd like to see to make this law more efficient for us in the administration, but also for businesses that are applying for applications. A couple examples. One of the survey requirements that was originally put into the law says that you have to add a certain buffer depending upon the survey that an entity has. So if it's a 1A survey, you have to add 3 foot to it. If it's a 2C survey, you have to add 20 foot to it. FAA actually does not add automatically that foot, that height to a structure regardless of where it's at. It's only if that structure impacts the instrument approach. So we're going to add some language in there that would kind of mirror what FAA does in terms of how they adjust for that survey adjustment. The other thing is some sighting, some micro sighting. We've ran into this problem with some wind turbines that they'll put a wind turbine out there, they'll apply for a permit from us, and then they may want to move it 15 feet due to the geography that the actual wind turbine's on, and the contractor says, well, if we move it 15 feet this way, that's going to be a better base for the wind turbine. And so right now the way the law states is they'd actually have to come and apply for a new permit, and that starts the clock all over again. So that's an inefficient process for business in Oklahoma. So we want to do some things, not going to hurt the integrity of the law, we just want to do some things to clean it up, make it more efficient, and try and fix a couple of the minor issues we've run into in the past 5 years.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
It's been moved to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion, questions? Okay, call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Stuckey,
Aye.
Secretary Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Amos.
Aye. Okay, moving on to C.
I'd say on these, Commissioners, we'll be bringing these to you in November. These are still baking, we're still researching. We have to get something, some specifics for you on this, and we're just not ready to present that to you yet. So we'll continue to do our homework. The fuel tax increase, that possibility, and let me first state, I've called this revenue stabilization and security. We've talked about this certainly before. Aeronautics is non-appropriated. We don't get any appropriation from the legislature. So if you're purely appropriated, your revenue stream is much more reliable through the course of a fiscal year. You're going to get X amount every month. Because our main revenue source is the aircraft excise tax, which I'm also going to touch on in a moment here, and an impact upon that, that's about 93% of our revenues. Registration is about 5%, and the aviation fuel tax is about 2%. Usually yields somewhere between $60,000 and $80,000. But at 8/100ths of 1 penny, 0.0008 per gallon, you have to really sell a lot of gas to get those figures I just recited to you. 47 states impose it. We are number 46. With respect to itinerant traffic, which also imposes wear and tear on our airport concrete and pavement and so forth, we're really not getting anything. We are reliant upon our based aircraft and aircraft owners and pilots entirely to support what we do with respect to infrastructure insofar as the state is concerned. I know that among some of you there is some concern about this, and one thing I can say to you from talking to our possible authors, Representative Sears and Senator Stanislawski in the past, we don't want any, and Secretary Ridley I need to mention as well. One of the first entities that will oppose this, because they've done it in the past, will be American Airlines. The airlines in every state fight, they go to court, usually have to make some kind of concession. Right now, I think that concession it's just abysmally low, 8/100ths of 1 penny on everybody in aviation. We will probably have to do something along that line. I'm going to be talking to the American Airlines corporate legislative government affairs person. That's where they're handling these kinds of issues now down in Fort Worth. They don't have a person who does that at the Tulsa maintenance base, and the head of the maintenance base really doesn't deal with these issues. So a reach out is going on in that regard. I do think whatever we do, if we do something with respect to this, we need to remain in the lower 2/3 or third. We need to remain low. There'll be other groups too. We'll be reaching out to business aviation and general aviation on this issue, and we have been. We've been talking to those constituencies. The charter exemption, which we've talked about on several occasions, and indeed there is a committee of the commission that was really born, or should I say, emanated from our concern about charter abuse. I just told you aircraft excise tax is our biggest source of revenue. There are, under our statutory scheme, we exempt commercial airlines from the aircraft excise tax. I think that was, these are done a long time ago. I'm guessing the rationale there, after all, 2 of the first airlines were born in Oklahoma, Braniff Airways and Southwest Air Fast Express. That was probably done to entice an airline to base here in Oklahoma. There was one that based here in Oklahoma. It was called Great Plains, and we're probably better off without that airline now. But it hasn't been able to do that. It hasn't been successful in that regard. Somewhere along the line, charter was included by definition in commercial airlines. There's not an express exemption for charter. It's an exemption for commercial airlines, and we have defined charter to be part of commercial airlines. That's how they get the exemption. Problem is, there is really absolutely very little scrutiny involved when someone purchases an aircraft and wants to get that put on a charter ticket. It's just not a very hard proposition. And the tax commission, which I understand they don't have 10,000 employees, what they look at, they have some forms, some paperwork. You have to include the lease agreement. You do have to make sure that the entity you cite is indeed a Part 135 operator. The one situation that was caught in the last 5 years and went all the way to the Oklahoma Supreme Court, but the tax commission was upheld, was where an individual corporation trying to claim charter status, or that this aircraft is on a charter ticket, that entity did not have its Part 135 certificate yet. So that was pretty obvious. That was kind of a black and white proposition. What the real rub is someone puts it on a charter ticket. We know, because we've played Mission Impossible or whatever, you try to get that aircraft and utilize it. I mean, the essence of charter is hiring. It's just never available. You never really can get that aircraft. And that's the abuse, that's the fraud. There is an incentive evaluation commission that was constituted by the legislature and is working right now. I've spoken to its chairman, Lyle Rogo, Economic Development Director for Duncan, about this, and they are very, very interested in this. In fact, they sent me an inquiry, and I, of course, am still waiting on the questions, which I've talked to you all about, the answers to those questions, which I must have from the tax commission to really help the incentive evaluation commission. So I've now gone up the chain at tax, and hopefully we will get answers to those questions soon, which I originally submitted to the tax commission back in October of 2015. We really need those answers. Once I get those, I'm going to share them with the incentive evaluation commission. But we need to try to get to a place here where there's some integrity in this, some accountability. Is it the aircraft's got to be operated X% of the time for hire? That may be the best way to get at this. That then requires some kind of, after the initial application process, looking back at aircraft logs, whatever, how much was it actually used for that? I know we've argued, we've debated some, I've talked this with you all, what should that percentage be? Should it be 80%? Should it be 60%? Should it be 50%? It's got to be something. It's got to be something that I think we can say there's integrity in this and everybody's paying fairly. The real crime in this is you take companies like Devon, Quick Trip, they would never do this. They gladly pay their aircraft excise tax because they want a good system. They don't try to circumvent that. So this is a lot about fairness. Aircraft registration fee, possible increase. Just relate to you one story. Back in 2005, when we tried to raise the aviation fuel tax incrementally, going from 8/100ths of 1 penny to 2/10 to 4/10 to 6/10 to 8/10, and finally 1 Lincoln penny over a 5-year period, I believe, American Airlines objected. And the site head of the maintenance base then said to me, it was a little different insofar as their duties then, had a Cessna 172, and he said, Vic, I pay $13 for that. $13 a year. It's lower than my car tag. You need to raise that. He's probably right. We at least need to look at that. The last time that was touched was some time ago. So that's another revenue source. I mean, these are basically our 3 revenue sources right here that I've set forth. So we will look at that as well. And going to the legislature, it gives them some flexibility. I think there's going to be a lot of focus on revenue generation this coming session. We're still in a tough budget scenario. I'm sure they'll be looking at possible sales tax exemptions that should be no more, and I think we'll be informed by the Incentive Evaluation Commission. So those are still being studied. I'll bring in November, I must bring to you whatever I want to propose in this regard for legislative action. Are there any questions?
I'm probably going to be second in line fighting your fuel tax right behind American Airlines.
Well, I understand.
Unless you can offer an exemption for privately owned airports that receive absolutely no benefit.
I can understand and respect your position. No other questions, commissioners? We'll move on to the communication report.
Okay. Sandra?
Thank you again, Commissioners. Just a website update. We have a lot of critical infrastructure going into our website, and Dale and Grayson had a meeting with OMES and ISD this week regarding some airport infrastructure that they're going to be working on. And then we also have the pretty part, which is what I like, and it's going to look great. It's still under construction. I just wanted to let you know, I know that our website does not look that great currently, and it's just taking a little longer. We have a lot of information to install there. The video recording of the commission meetings. So we have done this previously, and the Oklahoma Department of Transportation has graciously offered their services to record our commission meetings. And Jane and I went through a lot of study of this process and have found that we are deficient and not doing closed captioning. And so we are required by law, and since 2005, to close caption not only my social media videos, but also the commission meetings. And so that is something that Jane and I have been working on. There is a contract that we are reviewing with 3Play Media to provide that, which is what ODOT currently uses, and they have been advising us in this matter, and we greatly appreciate them for their help. Gov Delivery is a new email service that we're going to be using that was recommended to us by OMES. Gov Delivery will take over where we were using MailChimp, and that is HTML going out to all of our airports and our commissioners, our legislators, and also people that want information about the commission. Be happy to entertain any questions.
You gonna have a makeup person for this video thing for us?
The commission is trying to budget right now for that, Commissioner.
She's, just to put it bluntly, we're rebuilding our website. So, I mean, it's under construction. So that's, I'll put it in those terms so everyone can understand. It's not a tweak here, a tweak there. We pretty much have gone back to the studs and we're rebuilding it.
It's pretty much from when the internet was invented, was when our website.
When it was in there.
Okay.
Sandra, I know that we make audio recordings of our meetings. Is it a requirement to have a video recording?
It is not required. It is a luxury, and
Can we bypass the luxury?
you can. As your public information officer, I would advise, and Director Byrd and I have had many discussions about this. He is also not a lover of the video. I will tell you this, social media and YouTube live forever. And we have to be really mindful of that. When we put something on social media, or when I make a video for you guys, I know that it's gonna live forever and that somebody can actually harvest that video, edit it, turn it into something very ugly, and then reproduce it. So could
You're
that happen?
making my argument for me.
I know, okay.
She realizes that, she's coming around.
However, let me share this with you. Coming from a legislative background, if I had been able to go and watch your commission meetings, perhaps I would have been able to harvest some of that information about how important the Aeronautics Commission is. If Senator Simpson can show Senator Stanislawski a snippet of our commission meeting that's on video from YouTube talking about our legislative initiatives, that might be a tool for them. If our airports division from Veneta, if our airports division from Veneta can't come to the commission meeting because it's 3 hours away, that is a useful tool for them. I would just ask you to reconsider. You guys look great. I've watched the video. There is nothing that is detrimental to the commission that is occurring here. It is transparency in government, and that is very important.
I do, let me add I do think the benefits outweigh the liabilities concern because it does live forever. And many commissions are doing this now. Obviously, it's probably already struck you all. The Transportation Commission must be doing this. It is. It is all toward letting the public, letting the citizens know what we're doing. We're a public body. Ultimately, I am for it. If you want to consider it, you certainly can. It's your province. That will need to be done properly to comply with the Open Meeting Act on the next agenda. To have discussion and a vote today would violate that act, so we don't want to do that. But we certainly can put it on for discussion at the next commission meeting in November.
Okay.
Commissioners, also, I just want to remind you, this is no expense to the commission. This YouTube is free. The only expense to the commission is the closed captioning work that has to be done. So this is no expense to the commission. ODOT is providing this service to us. They have this infrastructure in place. And also, I would also say this, that the commission itself is very rarely on the video. The primary focus of the video is the speaker here. It's at the podium. So it's not like they're watching you and so just know that as well. Do you
I
want?
will comment, most of the people under our age, that would be how they got all their information.
Yes.
It would be, you'd have a lot of people watching it from that standpoint, so.
Thank you, commissioners.
Commissioners, just a note, I should have noted this, but I was probably speaking out of sequence. But we do have with us today Senator Dom from the Broken Arrow area, so he certainly understands being up there in Tulsa, America with American Airlines and Spirit Aerosystems and NORDAM, the importance of aviation, and flight safety, I believe, in his district, the importance of aviation and aerospace in Oklahoma. And glad to have Director Mike Patterson from the Department of Transportation. The notice they're sitting in the back. They don't want to be conspicuous.
Okay, Grayson.
Number 12, before you is an amendment for the lease and operation agreement for the Arrowhead Airport, soon to be named the Carlton Landing Field, which actually I just learned this morning it has been officially changed. Give you a little background information. This process started in 2013. The commission put forth an RFP to request anybody who, a private entity, to come in and operate and lease the airport to help with development. Basically, the agreement became the private entity would put up fuel, they would put up hangars, the commission would put up taxi lanes and a partial perimeter fence. That worked its way through since the beginning of 2013. It's worked its way into an agreement that Director Byrd signed earlier this year along with the Executive Director of Tourism and the CLF operating company, who I think you all know is Kirk Humphreys, is the head of that organization. The original agreement was for 10 hangars, 3 box 50 by 50 hangars and a 7-bay T hangar, along with a 5,000-gallon fuel system, 24-hour automated credit card availability for a pilot to come into the airport and doesn't have to actually visit with a person to get the fuel, so it's automated 100%. Just 100 low lead, avgas. Jet fuel may be an option on down the road, but given the type of aircraft that are going to be operating out of there, 100 low lead is probably going to be it's 3,500 feet. A couple weeks ago, we received a request from CLF Operating Company that there's been a tremendous amount of support for this airport, and they have a lot of aircraft lined up as soon as the hangars get built, which we expect to go to bid sometime between this meeting and the November meeting. But CLF Operating Company came to us and said, hey, we need one more hangar in this first round of development. And so that's what we're presenting to you today is to amend the agreement to go from 10 hangars to 11 hangars. And I expect the increased cost, because there are going to be some additional taxi lanes that have to be built to that hangar, will be about $100,000. So it'll jump from $650 to $750 is the estimated cost for this first phase of development for the commission. And one last thing, I will admit that I think we are getting the better end of the deal. I think the CLF Operating Company is going to be expending a considerable amount of money putting in the hangars and the fuel farm. So I think the taxi lanes and the fence is definitely the cheaper of the two options. I'll stand for any questions.
Okay,
Move to approve.
it's been moved to approved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and second. Any discussion?
There are not any instrument approaches currently. That is on the future wish list.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Stuckey,
Aye.
Secretary Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Harris. Aye. Commissioner Amos. Aye. Commissioner Carter.
Aye.
Just a sorry, excuse me, Grayson, just a footnote, commissioners there. Grayson may have mentioned it, but presently, Arrowhead is one of the unclassified federal airports. Okay. And hopefully this will move us back, if we get to 10 aircraft, which I think we're going to do, we'll be classified, eligible for non-primary entitlement, the $150,000 a year again.
Okay, Grayson.
Item
13.
Item 13, 3-year capital improvement program. The first project behind the tab, Sandra, is there any pictures on the TV for these? No. Okay. So behind the tab for Muskogee Davis Field is your first item. This is a project that was in the previously approved capital improvement program for $712,000 of state funds. That was just to do the primary runway, 1331, about a 7,000-foot runway. A couple weeks ago, or maybe a month or so ago, the airport came to us and said, we would like to expand the scope of this work. Can we go ahead and include the main apron and a portion of the taxiway? And we said, well, we can't give you any more state funds, but if you have other sources of funding, we'd be glad to entertain that idea. And so what they came up with is they're going to put forth $300,000 of their FAA non-primary entitlement funds, and they're going to come up with a significant amount of local matching funds above and beyond what the required state and federal grants would be to ensure that this project and the efficiencies of having the project done while the contractor's on site to make that happen. So this agenda item is for the approval to amend the CIP to reflect this expanded scope of work and including the taxiway and the apron to the project. Staff recommends approval.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Been moved and second. Any discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Stuckey,
Aye.
Secretary Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Harris. Aye. Commissioner Amos.
Aye. Okay, Mid-American.
Item number B, Mid-America Industrial Airport in Pryor, Oklahoma. This actual item, not specifically Pryor, but the hard stands in general were already in the CIP. We anticipated 3 to 4 hard stands being built at a cost of about $600,000. What we're bringing for you today is we're actually breaking that out. We just had a general lump. Here's what we're going to do at several airports. We've now selected several of those airports, one of those being Mid-America Industrial Airport, to get this apron hard stand. This is a high-strength apron hard stand. These are asphalt aprons that are aging, deteriorating, have various types of distresses that in the summer heat may not allow large jet aircraft to park on these aprons. And instead of spending $1 million or $2 million or $3 million to go reconstruct the entirety of the apron, we're going to go ahead and take a much cheaper project and just build a hard stand, which is usually going to be about 150 feet by 50 feet. It can accommodate about 2 mid-sized jets, maybe 1 large jet, or 3 smaller-sized jets that will be able to park on that piece of hard stand. So that's what you have before you today in item number B. Estimated cost is going to be $225,000 with $213,000, $750 of state grant funds, and $11,250 of local matching funds. Staff recommends approval.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Stuckey,
Aye.
Secretary Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Amos.
Aye.
Commissioner Carter.
Aye. Okay.
One footnote, in your packet item, you see the little diagram there of the apron with the red rectangle on it. That's just a representation of the size that we expect. It's not the exact area that project's going to go. We'll work that out with the airport to determine what's the best area for that hard stand for the parking of their aircraft. But item number C is an identical agenda item for the Miami Regional Airport. Total estimated project cost is $225,000 to be funded with approximately $213,000 state grant funds and $11,000 local matching funds. Staff recommends approval.
Have these airports already used their NPE funds and they're not available for this? Is that why we're doing so much from our side?
That is correct. The NPE funds are usually identified for other projects. I know at Miami Regional, in our CIP, we're getting ready to do a big state and federal project to rehab the lighting system. It's going to be a total 100% redo of their lighting system. And Pryor just finished a runway overlay project, so they do not have any more banked entitlements available.
Okay.
Staff recommends approval.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
It's been moved. Second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Vice
Aye.
Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Amos.
Aye. Gonna mark these so these airports use them as they've been designed.
That's, we could bring some pictures for you at a future meeting, but we've done several of these at other airports, Elk City, Shawnee, Clinton, or not, excuse me, Claremore, and we can show you some pictures of aircraft actually parking on these hard stands. So they are being used.
Okay. Item D.
Item number D, or item letter D, is the Arrowhead Airport. As we mentioned earlier, there will be an increased cost due to the increase in the number of hangars as part of the agreement. That increase is going from $650 to $750. Staff recommends approval.
Okay. Is there a motion? It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Stuckey.
Aye.
Secretary Conway.
Aye.
Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Amos.
Aye.
Commissioner Potter. Commissioner Hunter. Chairman Ray.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay. Hey, Vic, in the essence of time, since he has to leave at 11:30, you want to do executive session now? At 11?
I think Dale's assured me he can be finished in 5 minutes. And
That'll be
so,
the day.
so we can do that and then go right into, I think at 11 o'clock, if we do convene, I think we should be able to hopefully finish up.
Okay. If he's done in 5 minutes, we do need video.
Morning, Chairman. I have 4 items for your consideration this morning. The first one is from the City of Guyman. It's the approval of a project that is currently identified in the Capital Improvement Program, the approved Capital Improvement Program for the City of Guyman. The project consists of reconfiguring and reconstruction portions of the main aircraft parking apron. The total cost is $1.1 million, will be funded with $1 million of federal grant funds, $57,000 of state grant funds, and $57,000 of local matching funds. Staff recommends approval, and Mayor Peterson is here from the City of Guyman if you'd like to make a quick comment.
I'll try to make it quick because you're on a schedule. I'd like to thank the Chairman Ray, Commissioners, OAC staff on behalf of the City of Guyman. We really appreciate all the considerations you've made in funding our projects in our airport. You know, we're in the 4th time zone of Oklahoma out there, so any dollars we can get for transportation are highly valued. I flew in from there today, but it was raining, so I had to drive, and I don't fly. So we do appreciate all you've done for the City of Guyman, and our airport is very, very invaluable to us on the economic development front, but also on a medical front because we use a lot of air ambulance transfers to Oklahoma City and Amarillo. So thank you, gentlemen, for your consideration.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Stuckey.
Aye.
Secretary Conway.
Aye.
Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Amos. Commissioner Potter.
I'll abstain.
Next item is for a project at R.L. Jones. It is identified in our capital improvement project. The project consists of overlaying the primary runway, repairing the cracks, patching failed areas, and regrading the shoulders. The total project cost is $2.1 million. Will be funded with $1.9 million of federal grant funds, $106,000 of state grant funds, and $107,000 of sponsor matching funds. The approval is contingent upon receiving an acceptable grant application from the City of Tulsa. The project has been bid, and they're just waiting on the mayor's signature. Tulsa Airport Authority's already signed it. Staff recommends approval.
Is there a motion?
I'll move.
It's been moved. Second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Stuckey.
Aye.
Secretary Conway.
Aye.
Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Amos.
Aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Potter.
Next item is for a project at R.L. Jones that is identified in the approved capital improvement program. The project consists of upgrading the signage and electrical system on runway 1 right, that's a secondary runway. Total cost of the project is $1.2 million, will be funded with $1.1 million of federal grant funds, $63,000 of state grant funds, $65,000 of sponsor matching funds. Staff recommends approval. Again, the project has been bid and just awaiting the grant application to be signed by the mayor of Tulsa.
Okay. It's been moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Stuckey,
Aye.
Secretary Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Amos.
Aye.
The next item is for a state grant from the city of Muskogee, and it also includes an intergovernmental agreement. The approval is contingent upon receiving an acceptable grant based on bids. The project consists of crack repair, crack seal, and remarking the airfield pavements, which include the primary runway, taxiway Bravo, and the main apron. Total cost of the project is $1.3 million. And we've funded with approximately $300,000 of federal grant funds, $700,000 of state grant funds, $300,000 of matching funds. And the commission, the intergovernmental agreement will allow the commission to initially fund the state and federal share so we can move the project forward. And the federal share will be reimbursed once the non-primary entitlement funds become available to the city. Staff recommends approval.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Stuckey,
Aye.
Secretary Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Amos. Commissioner Potter.
Aye.
The next item is a amendment to the existing grant at Woodward, the 2016 state grant at Woodward, which was to crack seal, seal coat, and remark the secondary runway at Woodward. The change order will reconcile the quantities, and it'll also include a full depth removal and replacement of approximately 380 square yards of pavement structure. The engineer, the pavement was damaged by the contractor, which normally would require them to repair it. The engineer inspected it and really believes that it's a localized area that was poorly constructed initially, and it was not the contractor's fault. The total cost of the increase for the repair is $16,000. I've gone and looked at it. I do agree with what the engineer is recommending, so staff recommends approval of the amendment to the state grant. I'm trying to be quick. Well, what happened is,
Contractor built something.
no. The contractor was out doing a basic crack seal, seal coat, and repair. He had his equipment out on the run-up area where he was doing some of his, unloading his materials, and the pavement failed there. The same equipment was all over the runway everywhere else, but it didn't fail. Once the engineer looked at it, there's 2 inches of asphalt on top of subgrade. There's no base material or anything underneath that.
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Stuckey,
Aye.
Secretary Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Amos. Commissioner
Aye.
Potter.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would now advise, given in the interest of time, Commissioner Harris' departure, you move to item 22 on the agenda.
Okay, is there a proposal to go to executive session?
Need a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to go into executive session to discuss employment of airport engineer pursuant to 25 OS Section 307B1.
Okay, second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Stuckey,
Aye.
Secretary Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Amos. Chairman
Moved and seconded.
Harris and
Call the roll, please.
who was the second, please?
Aye.
Okay.
Vice Chair Stuckey,
Aye.
Secretary Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Harris. Commissioner Amos. Commissioner Potter.
Aye. Okay, Grayson, we are back to you. Commissioner Harris, thanks.
All right, so I gave my packet away to Senator Dom. What item are we on here?
We're on number 15, Air Adventure
15,
Oshkosh.
Air Adventure Oshkosh recap, okay. Sandra has any pictures or not, but there is a picture in your packet behind the tab. Tab item number 15, you'll see this is a lot of the participants. You see Director Byrd there. This is our Senator Inhofe luncheon that we have every year on Saturday. We bring all of Oklahoma friends that we have up at Oshkosh, potential businesses that want to come do business in Oklahoma. We also have, this year, we actually also had Congressman Steve Russell, who happened to be there with a congressman from Louisiana. Vic, you don't happen to remember who his name was?
He was a pilot too, though, and
Yeah.
many of you may have read that Russell just did his solo.
Congressman Russell's wanting to become a pilot, so this was his first time up to Oshkosh, and it was kind of just an ironic coincidence that we happened to run into him up there. Lunch is always a good thing. That's kind of the crescendo for the event at Oshkosh, but really the real reason we were there was to, one, put our flag in the ground that Oklahoma is aviation friendly. I want to make sure that people know about Oklahoma, the great airport system we have, whether they're making a cross-country stop or whether they're making a routine tourism stop. We have a lot of retired pilots out there that are looking for destinations across the country to fly into a community, go have some fun weekends or maybe a fun week trip. And we have a lot of those places here in Oklahoma, especially eastern Oklahoma, western Oklahoma, a lot of state parks, a lot of towns that offer a lot of tourism incentives for pilots. And really one of the things that I learned this year is that we have a lot of West Coast folks that come through Oklahoma. A lot of these folks that fly 172s, 182s, small single engine, small twin engines, they can't make it straight from Oshkosh, Wisconsin over to California. They have to take the southern route through New Mexico and Arizona. So typically the stop is Oklahoma, Kansas, or Texas. And so we had a lot of people that we ran into this year that they're stopping in Oklahoma on their way home from Oshkosh or their way to Oshkosh to make that fuel stop and maybe make their trip a little longer. This year we had 6 partners, us, OAC, Department of Commerce, OG&E, and then 3 communities. We had Ada, Enid, and Bartlesville that were our 6 partners this year. Next year, we're open to expand that and move out to additional partnerships, maybe get some more tourist partners. One of the things that comes to mind is Weatherford. The Stafford Air and Space Museum would be a great asset to have up at Oshkosh. And so some of those more tourist destination type airports is what we're going to be thinking about for next year. We'll mention it. We had our best Inhofe luncheon this year, over 100 attendees. Last year we were just right below 100. This year I think we had about 110 people for lunch there. So it was a greatly attended event, and we'll be moving forward to ask your permission to go next year, probably at our next meeting. I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, any questions? Okay,
Thank you.
National Association of State Aviation Officials Annual Dues. Vic?
I might add that we had one of our commissioners at Oshkosh. Commissioner Hunter was there. He left before the luncheon because he was a little bit concerned about Michigan, or I should say Wisconsin barbecue, so he took off. We missed him. NASAO, this is our national association, our annual dues for membership in that organization. Through this, we get our best opportunity to influence public policy on the national stage. I would recommend approval.
Okay, is there a motion?
Currently, 43 dues-paying members. Several states, a little bit of an issue because of the Great Recession. So right now, they're not members in good standing.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Yes. Did I make
You were the
motion?
motion. You can't motion in a second.
Can I second my
Under
motion?
Robert's rules, that's probably, but we need a second from someone else.
Oklahoma parliamentary.
We have a second from someone else?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded twice now. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Vice Chair Stuckey,
Aye.
Secretary Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Amos.
Aye.
Commissioner Potter. Commissioner Hunter. Chairman Ray.
Aye. It would work better if you could do that, though.
Need your approval, please, Commissioners, on the next item to fill the vacancy in the airport engineer position. This has already been approved by Secretary Ridley.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Vice Chair Stuckey,
Aye.
Secretary Conway,
Aye.
Commissioner Amos.
Aye.
Commissioner Potter, Commissioner Hunter, Chairman Ray.
Aye. Aviation Economic Impact Study, Grayson.
So we are officially underway on the Aviation Economic Impact Study. I believe behind tab number 18, you'll find a timeline of here's how the project schedule is going to occur over the next 12 months. 2 weeks ago, we had our first ever project advisory committee meeting. We have several great members from that. I believe we have Christy. She's on the committee. Representing OAOA. We have several airports represented. We have economic development from Commerce. We have economic development from Tulsa with Dennis Altendorf. We have several of our commercial airports on there. We have members from the Ag Aviation Association, the Business Aviation Association, the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. So we have a good committee of people that will kind of help us guide this project as it moves forward. And we had a good hour and a half, 2-hour conversation about different ideas to make this study the best it possibly can be. Right now, the consultant, the prime consultant that we've hired, is in the process of doing in-person interviews at airports across the state. There's going to be 35 airports they will visit in person. The remainder of the airports they will visit via online or via telecommunication of some sort. And they'll continue doing that probably through the middle of September, doing these in-person interviews to collect these direct impacts. And you'll see on the schedule, that's really what's going to be going on over the next 2 to 3 months, is collecting that direct economic impact, because from there, once you have that direct economic impact, we can run that through the economic models to get the indirect impact. So, right now we have a person that's based at the airport, they have employment, they have salary, but then beyond that, you have somebody that may come into town, spend money at a hotel, spend money at a restaurant, rental car facility. All those extra jobs that are not technically on airport are somewhat dependent, not that entire job, but maybe 1/100th of that job is dependent upon aviation. And so that's how we get this indirect and induced economic benefit from aviation. And that's what we're going to be doing probably more in the winter months. But for these next 2 to 3 months of the fall, we'll be collecting those direct impacts and should hopefully maybe by November or definitely by the January commission meeting start be able to report some of what those direct economic impacts are for Oklahoma's airports in the system. So I'll stand for any questions.
Any
We
questions?
provide the commissioners a list of the project advisory committee.
Sure. We can.
Okay, number 19, Catherine. APA?
Since our last meeting, we have approved permits for 8 wind turbines in Hinton, Oklahoma. These turbines are part of a larger wind farm, but only the 8 fell within our protected services. So we have reviewed those and determined they won't be an issue for the airspace, and we are in the process of getting those approved right now. We've also issued permits for 3 antennas in Cushing, Mangum, and Broken Bow. The item for Stigler is one that we've been talking about now for about a year, and I'm happy to say that we are just about to make a determination on that one. So hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have that one determined. And then below is a list of the preliminary reviews we've done. Are there any questions about APA?
Okay. Met Towers. You got a
For the Met Towers, the numbers are in your packet. It's pretty straightforward. I will add, though, we are looking to roll our Met Tower database into the new website. Right now, as it stands, the Met database is a separate website completely from our homepage, so we're hoping to be able to incorporate that in our new website and hopefully provide a better user experience. So we're just in the early stages of that, but we'll be providing you more information as it becomes available. Thank you.
Number 21, Sandra.
Commissioners, in your packet, there's a wonderful list of events for September and October. I would encourage you to read over those. I do want to point out September 7th is trivia night at Wiley Post Airport, and you guys can read through those, okay?
Thank you. Okay, 23, concluding remarks. Vic?
I have none, Commissioners. If you do, certainly entertain those.
That video would have been helpful today. No comment. Okay, the next meeting will be November the 10th, right here. Any new business? Seeing none, I would announce that we're adjourned.